So this project started because I wanted to automate things around my builds, like for example changing the print bed on my 3D printer. This might not be the most exciting issue to solve, nor this the best way to do it or the easiest way to approach it, but I wanted to give it a shot anyways. And this is the current design that I came up with, at least the first 3 axes for this robot. The big thing is that it doesn't use the traditional motor into gearbox into rotational output, but rather it uses linear actuators, or in this case just linear bolt screws, to change the angle of the robot arm. And I wouldn't say that this approach is better or worse. I think it's both. It looks really cool, but on the other hand, it's a complete nightmare to tune. By tuning, I mean trying to get the computer to understand what this arm sort of does in terms of what kind of change in linear motion correlates to change in angle. But I will get into that a bit more later on. So if you've spent any time in the robotics YouTube space, you likely come across videos covering different types of gearboxes, cycloidal drives, harmonic drives, and some of them even 3D printed. And I do want to explore them, either by building them myself or finding some entry-level purchase options. Building them would easily be a project on its own, and off-the-shelf components are limited and quite expensive. So I decided to stick with what I know and use linear motion instead. After all, many machines that lift around heavy objects use linear motion anyways. It's not quite the same, but at least that's the reasoning that I'm telling myself. The build is centered around the rotating base, whose core component is this slew bearing. It's significantly oversized in terms of load capacity. I chose it mainly because the dimensions suited the design and it already has convenient mounting holes in the right places. The outer mounting holes are fixed to the base, which elevates the whole arm to provide ground clearance. I also plan to use the space inside the base to house the main power supply later on. The base axis is driven by a GT2 toothed belt reduction, the same profile used in most 3D printers. For modeling the belt geometry in Fusion, I found a very useful add-on, which I will link in the description. The large pulley has 255 teeth and 4 pressed-in pins to prevent it from rotating relative to the arm itself. Getting it seated on the slew bearing required some convincing, but it also means that there should not be any play in the assembly. The inner mounting holes are fastened to a base plate printed in grey PLA. I use grey for parts that I intend to eventually replace with CNC machined aluminum. I've already purchased the stock material for this one, but I will wait until the dimensions are finalized before milling it. The motor and drive pulley for the rotating axis are mounted offset from the base plate. To reduce the load on the motor shaft, I've decoupled the tension mechanism. The drive pulley sits on its own lower housing, independent of the stepper motor above. The stepper motor itself is a NEMA 23 integrated closed tube unit mounted on a dedicated bracket. For belt routing between the drive pulley and the slew bearing pulley, the belt is guided and redirected via a 3D printed sleeve sitting between 2 flanged bearings, printed in blue PLA. Blue parts indicate components I intend to replace with off-the-shelf components as soon as they arrive. The lower housing has 2 bearings pressed in to carry the tensioning load from the drive shaft. At this stage, the drive pulley is also printed in blue PLA as I'm waiting on the components. Both the lower housing and the motor bracket are attached to an aluminum plate, which is screwed into the PLA base. At this stage, many connections are fasteners going directly into printed parts. I'd rather not use heat-set inserts on components that are likely to change. Both the housing and bracket are designed with slotted mounts to allow adjustment for belt tensioning. I waited to measure the belt length on the actual assembly just to be safe, and still managed to order the wrong one. However, I was able to make it work eventually. Moving on to the first arm. The structural elements are 2 carbon fiber rods with 3D printed mounting brackets at each end. Bronze bushings are pressed into the lower bracket for smooth rotational movement. In the upper bracket, aluminum elbows are pressed in. These will serve as the mounting point for the second arm and its drive mechanism. Both the lower and upper brackets are then pressed onto the carbon fiber rods. As mentioned, I'm using ball screws to drive both arms. These are 12mm in diameter and with a 5mm pitch. A 3D printed cover goes over the screw body and two bearings are pressed into a retainer that forms the fixed end of the lead screw assembly. Like with the rotating base, I'm using a NEMA 23 integrated closed loop stepper motor here, connected to the ball screw via a coupling. The ball screw is attached to the arm with a 3D printed clamp bracket. For now it's only clamped to the carbon fiber rod, which lets me adjust the arm geometry, but this will need a permanent fix later. To mount the first arm assembly, a 3D printed bracket is fixed to the base plate with additional bronze bushings. The arm is first attached using a dowel pin, then the motor and lead screw assembly is mounted using shoulder bolts. First to the base, then to the clamp on the arm. These shoulder bolts run inside the bronze bushings, providing smooth rotation while eliminating unwanted play. The current geometry provides roughly 90 degrees of total rotation, 60 degrees forward for vertical and 30 degrees leaning backwards. This achieved over approximately 150 mm of ball screw travel. Moving on to the second arm, I start by assembling the motor mechanism. Again using grey PLA for test components with bronze bushings at the pin and shoulder bolt locations. The ball screw assembly follows the same logic as the first arm, but is adapted for NEMA 17 motors. Again, closed loop integrated units. The second arm sits between the aluminum elbow of the first part. I press in additional bearings before attaching the second arm via a pin. An aluminum rod with threads cut into each end. Getting the range of motion right for the second arm took a few iterations. The solution follows the same ball screw approach as with the first arm, but adds a 4-bar linkage to extend the output range. This triangular intermediate piece offsets the rotation between the ball screw output and the 4-bar linkage input. The 4-bar linkage effectively amplifies the motion from roughly 90 degrees of input to over 120 degrees of output movement. The linkage output is connected to the carbon fiber rod with a 3D printed clamp, allowing for fine-tuning of the geometry before committing to a permanent joint. Once I confirmed that the output motion matched the model, I machined the linkage component and replaced the 3D printed versions. Currently, the output is approximately 125 degrees of movement from around 85 mm of ball screw travel. To control the arm, I'm designing my own control board. For now I'm running the first prototype while the second revision is in development. I made a dedicated video about this board previously. This one has 3 step and direction outputs soldered to test the full control stack. The board runs a customized Gerbil Hall firmware on a Raspberry Pi Pico. It uses mini Molex connectors driven by a differential line driver. For the electrical connection, I started by twisting wire pairs and routing them through a braided sleeve. On the board side, the mini Molex connector pins are primed and the motor side end get ferrules. With that wired up, initial axis movement are possible. I'm sending G-code commands from a Raspberry Pi to the controller to verify each axis independently. With the basic configuration confirmed, I first tuned the Gerbil Hall firmware step counts, then moved on to implementing the kinematic model for both arms in a ROS2 environment. This is especially critical for this build as the relationship between the ball screw movement and the output angle is non-linear. It depends on the current absolute position of each axis. And this is exactly what I meant by tuning earlier. Even a small mismatch in the kinematic model on the Raspberry Pi or an error in the absolute position will throw off the controller completely. And this is also why I chose closed loop steppers. Homing switches for absolute position reference will be added in the next board revision. So now at this stage of the build, every arm actually rotates and I can command the absolute output position to some degree of accuracy, but that is fine for now. There are 2 main areas where I want to continue. First one is mechanical development, so I still need 2 or 3 more axes as well as a sort of like a grappling interface at the hand position, and the second one is electronics. Right now the robot runs on my version 1 or prototype board for the controller, and version 2 is almost on its way, but this will have to wait for the next one.